Welcome to Gin and Tea, and today I am your host Gigi, and with Nonhle and Lebo, and we're going to be discussing sex and intimacy. And around the room, I just should put a disclaimer that everybody's like, I don't want to do this discussion. Which is why I think it's so important that we actually do this, because sex is, I think for most Black women, it's a very under the table discussion where we don't ever have platforms that openly engage and stimulate and actually carry on and encourage us to understand our own bodies and to actually explore how we've formed our perceptions around sex and intimacy and how we dive in it through relationships. For as long as I've grown up, I was just told not to have it. Like, the only memory I have about sex is just don't have it because you're gonna have kids, you know? And so I've always had a very negative connotation to it. And the first time I had sex, I just realized, and the more I had sex, I realized that sex is it's a land of power and a power dynamic, and without voices and without confidence and permission from society to actually engage upon it, young women end up having sex, and it feels very lopsided. Because when I remember in high school, boys were allowed to actually say, yeah, I've had it, and it was a sense of pride and a joy. And so I think when they do engage as older men, they tend to carry a lot of happiness around it, whereas I think young women find it such a, I want to say mindfuck, you know? But then we don't even have Ugogo or Uma to call and be like, yo, girl, somebody sold me the dream, because this is not like the movies, you know? Yeah. And so hence it's very important that we actually dive into it. But I know it makes a lot of people very awkward. I'm actually going to just open it up to the floor. Lebo, why do you think that sex is so awkward to actually engage with and discuss?
I think the main thing is that we tend to forget, whether it's society, your parents, whatever institution you're going to refer to, that human beings are like, we have different aspects about who we are, you know. When you grow up, they focus a lot on your spirituality, like, you know, you either whatever religious faith you believe in, you know, you harness that, you're told to go to church or to go to whatever you go to. And they don't, like, we tend to forget that, like, human beings are sexual beings as well. You get, like, if you just go back to biology, my body is made in a certain way to carry something, to create, to procreate, and all those things. So we never talk about it, we never discuss it, we never educate people. And it really is just, I don't know, it's a disservice not only to the young girls, but also to the boys as well, you know, because I just think it's unfair that girls always have to feel like something is taken away from me, and boys feel like I am taking something, you know. And it's a two-way street, because for you to get it, I need to give it as well. And I think the more we talk about it, the more women will then be empowered to be like, no, you didn't take anything from me. More than anything, I allowed you, you know, I gave you that chance or opportunity to be given as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue.
And I think it's so powerful about normalizing that conversation, because like you just pointed out, it then becomes, actually, you didn't take anything. I was there, it was my liberty given, and I said okay, and I was with you, and it was my sense of okaying you, you know. And it's not then that power, we as women tend to retain it. But I'm just gonna jump into it and go to Nonhle. Nonhle, have you ever discussed sex with your parents and discussed having it or your first time?
Like, just before I get to that, adding to Lebo's comments, I think it will all be different especially if a girl had a conversation with her dad about sex. You know, we're always looking for the mom to pass on the message, and perhaps she also feels like in their times they probably didn't have this conversation, like worse than what we did growing up. And so they probably also have that doctrine that, oh no, sex is so sacred and still, you know, and that taking and giving thing. Imagine having that conversation with your dad, you know, and your dad just teaching you the whole concept of sex and understanding how it is really, what are the dynamics between sex, you know, how men feel and how a woman should, a dad can't say how a woman should feel, but just, I guess it would be cool to hear the narrative from the man's side of things. Your question was
how you have, in fact, as you just chime into that and speaking about your dad, have you ever had a conversation with your dad?
Parents, okay, no, because I didn't have a dad. to have this conversation with. And the man who was in my life at the time was my soon-to-be stepfather, who obviously did not know how, like, excuse me, when you first
I need to figure out if I even like you.
Imagine saying, hey there, we should have the sex talk.
Exactly. So, with my dad or a male figure in my life, no, I've never had an uncle in my life until recently, so no. With my mom, my mom does try, especially now as I'm 24, she tries and be like, oh, so when last did you have sex? And I'm just like, no girl, you're crying. I feel like she's crying because it's never a conversation we've ever had. It's never been a conversation we've had in the household, even prior to me having sex, you know. So I feel like I don't know where she's coming from when she's asking me this, and I don't know if she's gonna judge me. I think that's the biggest thing, is being judged, because you don't know what connotations they still carry.
Absolutely.
You know? So yeah.
And even adding to what Nonhle is saying, Shem, I do honestly feel like, you know, we can't put the onus on our parents only, because for them, they come from a generation where they didn't ask as well. So now they're also learning, just as we are learning to come to them. They also trying to get out of I feel like it's awkward for them as well to then be like, okay, child, how's it going with your sex life, you know? But they probably want to know, out of more than anything, it's really to protect you. I don't think any loving parent,
you know,
From bad sex.
no, I just feel like just maybe even just your emotional well-being in terms of sex as it is. I don't think any loving parent is gonna just come ask you these things just out of judgment. You know, unfortunately, they also need to understand that, like, they may have an idea of what they would like you to be, but they also have to accept that this is who you are as well.
I mean, sorry, I'm 24 and my dad tells me that no boyfriend. Like, he still has that whole thing. So now imagine, yesterday I went out to Gigi, and I usually have condoms in my bag for my own peace of mind. And when I came, I left in a rush. Like, I was so late for this event we were going to. I come back home, my lights are on. I have my own room separate from everyone else. So if you pass my room, you see into my room, you know. So I come back and my lights are on, the door's wide open, everything. I enter my room and I see the condoms on the floor. I'm like, shit! Oh, what the fuck? And that time, before I went to my room, I said hi to my parents. So now everything's happening. They see this, oh my gosh, they think I just came back from having sex. Like, they think I'm just always having sex. Like, I can't remember.
You know, is she happy that she saw the condoms?
Which
Like,
is safe. Like, I even had this whole conversation that, okay, now they're gonna come and ask me, like, hey, you are having sex, who are you having sex with? And it's like, no, but that doesn't matter. Just know that I'm safe.
You know, but I think what you're touching on is such an important topic, and it brings us to our next conversation on the conversation around sex tends to be, if I'm having this conversation with her, she must be having it, and then there's a connotation of being promiscuous. Like, if I say, oh, how's your sex life? It's like, I'm okaying you having sex now, you know. Can
I add to that? My mom always, like, I think when I started talking to her about sex is when I started having, like, stable relationships, like 2 boyfriends. And then she'd be like, so she'll ask me about my sex life or whatever, and then I'd tell her, like, oh, it's okay. But somehow, I remember vividly, she'd be like, oh, I gave birth to a hoe. Like, I'm just like, how?
What the hell? That just spoils the whole conversation afterwards.
Never gonna happen.
Exactly.
She asked me now, like 2 weeks ago, oh, so how's your sex life? I'm like, we're not having sex.
I remember
the
that.
last time we did, you know.
Yeah, I give it that.
Yeah.
Imagine. Lebo, have your parents ever had this? And do they feel like, you know, discussing this is like permission for you to have it?
Do you know what the strange thing is that they never have. Like, it just confuses me, because my mom will always be like, I can't wait to be a grandmother one day. And I look at her, I'm like,
how we gonna do that?
Like, am I gonna just buy the baby? Or, like, I'm just trying to understand. And the weird thing is, my mom is a nurse, guys. You know, and she doesn't even if she gave me like the medical part of it, like, do not do whatever, you know, I was proactive in terms of, like, I got the info from, like, some of the volunteer programs at varsity and all those things to get proper information behind it. But I feel like even my mom, as a nurse and a professional, it's difficult for her to separate in terms of, like, this is my child and I need to talk to her and still not encourage it, but also, like, you know, it's very weird. I feel like my mom would probably talk to you easier and then be like, you're not girl, you're gonna be okay, or whatever, you know, because it's almost like that's someone else's child, so like I can't be really responsible for everything I tell her, you know, it's her prerogative, whatever she does with it. And then for me, I feel like she thinks she's gonna promote it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's just like at the end of the day, you get to a point where like, Mom, you are no longer the manager, unfortunately. You're now a consultant. I'm always gonna come to you if need be, but I understand that trust trust the values you instilled in me, that I'm gonna be okay.
I think I want to actually just touch on that because my parents are very different. So this is how I break the sex talk to my mom. So my mom had a build up, and maybe this is why sex was just always ruined for me. Like my mom had a build up where we had like this promise of not having sex until I was 21, until I had my first boyfriend, and not even having my first kiss until I was 16.
Oh,
and I was
girl.
like, I was cool with that. And I was like, yeah, sweet 16, never been kissed. And then I had my first kiss, and it was awesome. And I loved my first boyfriend. I didn't really love him. It was a 2-week thing, so there was no love. And then I dated this guy, this German boy, and okay. And then after the first time, I literally called her. I was like, what the fuck? Bitch, you told me
Why
a
did you want
dream.
me? Yeah.
This is whack ass, bro. Like, what the hell? Why was this even like a big to-do? It really, like for me, it was so, and maybe it's also my mind, it was so clinical. It was just literally like, oh.
In her defense, maybe that's what she did on purpose, to then be like, I'm gonna make it, like, I'm not gonna make it look nice. I'm not gonna, you know, embellish and be like, no, girl, it's like the mechanisms, there's A, B, C, this is what happens. So that maybe it's almost like not encourage you, but also not discourage you, just give you the
Girl,
facts.
she ruined my sex life. Because after that, I was just like, I don't know whether you guys like know the build up I had before I had it. I was so ready, you guys. I took the time to know this guy. I was like, and then when it happened, I was just like, yo, she's content. I was literally like, wow. Like, you know when a bubble just bursts in front of you? I was just like, okay, this is the end. And so I think sometimes also like the build up and not having the conversation and having these mysteries around it just makes sex such a different mind-boggling way. And that actually, with me talking about my first time, I wanted to ask, did you guys feel, because I think there's a connotation around sex when you have first time. I remember the stories I had was, you're going to be super attached to this guy. If you have sex for the first time, you'll fall in love, and now you'll never be able to focus on your studies and things like, I don't know whether you guys heard those stories. Were there any kind of like stories around sex that you had for the first time, like before you had sex, and then when you did have sex, were you just like, oh, really? This is how it is? How did your experience go?
I think, my experience was never, I never had a build up. I think the only thing I knew about sex is life orientation. Really, life orientation. And I don't know, like, it was what it was. It was spontaneous. It was never planned, pre-planned. I never had any anticipated feelings, or I never looked forward to anything at all. Like, so it was just like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, okay. Like,
you see that pop?
Yeah.
I think maybe to go back to your question about, you know, feeling attached to whatever the person is, I think it just depends on the relationship you have with that person. You get. So maybe if it is like a friend of yours or whatever, I'm thinking that probably then you can feel like I'll be more attached to this person because of that already established friendship or whatever.
But then it comes to that thing of like, also you not knowing that you like your virginity is like a powerful thing. And if you, like how you said earlier on, I'm giving it to you, or I'm taking it from you, you know, then it changes. So if maybe you like, hey, I'm having sex with you, I'm not giving you anything. It's virginity is not a tangible thing, you know. But then maybe if you do, maybe like a religion like Christianity, or any religion really that holds virginity is such a sacred thing, you know, and you protect it and you keep it and you whatever. And then you do have sex with that particular person. It's like, wow, you took a part of me, and half of you or whatever, half of me or whatever is with you now, so I love you, or you know, you love me or something, you know, like that whole ideology that's been created in our minds as females, you know, mind fucked big time.
So which means that everyone's experience is different then, you know, it all depends on you, and because there's so many factors that come into who you are as a being, never mind like your religious beliefs and what your background, your history, your interests, all those things do play a role. So I think as much as the act of sex, yes, we can all say, oh, I know something about it, but everybody's experience is different. So maybe you could be attached, and then some people are like, nah, it was nothing.
Absolutely. And I think that whole idea around sex should kind of change a little. And I'm just going to zoom out and ask you guys, what's your relationship with sex right now? Like, where you at with it? How are you experiencing it?
Lebo's on Tinder, guys. She already told us.
There goes Mantra spilling the tea.
But like I'm gonna break the ice and just jump in and give my opinion. My sex life is quite complicated. Hey, I think after my first time with sex, I always say my mom ruined sex, because after that I was just bored. I was like, whatever. And even in my relationship right now, I'm kind of just like, whatever. I just move on with my life, and it's just like a really
What?
I know, right?
Nah, girl,
it's the worst. It is the like I really. No, like honestly, you guys, I'm being super vulnerable right now. But I'm even thinking of going to a psychologist, so that I kind of demystify what sex means, my level of intimacy. I think I told you guys last time, I'm doing an intimacy inventory. To kind of start figuring out the definition of sex I want to have for myself, because I feel like I've just had what society thinks about it, and it's time that I take ownership of my own body, how I want to experience sex, the things that I want to go into it and experience. And I think I want to have that journey with myself, so that by the time I'm like 23, 24, I'm like, yeah, bro, take it off and let's do this. And I really want to have fun and enjoy it, because I think sex should be that, but yet for a lot of women it isn't.
And we mentioned the last time that sex isn't just penetration. Like sex is a whole mind thing. It's an energy thing. It's mind. Like it's very spiritual for me. But currently my sex life, my sex life right now is I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one, or I don't know. I'm just free. Like, that's all I can say. Like, my sex life is free. I don't know what exactly to describe, because I mean, it's not like I have a boyfriend, but at the same time, it's not like I'm hoeing around. But yeah, I can just say I'm just free. I'm sexually free. I'm sexually exhilarated. I'm not frustrated.
I feel that.
So, yeah,
like that. Lebs?
I think I'm just very chilled, guys. Hey, I don't know. I think honestly, I feel like for me, I'm just that kind of person. Like, if I'm in a relationship, it's completely different. And because I'm single, for some reason, I don't crave it as much. I don't understand if that makes sense. And I feel like people think because you're single, you should be out and about. Nah.
Really, like, my friends. I'm so horny, and it's like I haven't had sex in like two months. I've been single for 2 months. I'm so horny. Go get the D, girl.
Go get the
for real. I think I don't know. Maybe if I'm coming from a space of like being with someone and like you kind of get used to whatever you do and you enjoy that, and then now I'm so chilled. I'm just like, I'm okay. I can go without it, guys. Like, it's really, honestly, it's really not that bad.
And as you talk about that, I'm just gonna jump into our last point of the podcast. Is just talking about you, and as you talk about being single, the masturbation part, the other forms of sex that we never actually discuss. And I think young women always think sex penetration, penetration. But I mean, exploring your own body, masturbating, oral sex, the different versions of what sex could be if you wanted to be. Any dildos around since you're single?
No, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for real, because I don't know. I feel like I genuinely just my craving, if it should call it that, it's just not there. I don't crave it at the moment.
I feel that.
But I feel like if need be, I might need to tap into all these other things and be like, yo, girl, you've been missing out. Maybe there's all these other things you need to try out. That could probably get me back in the group.
I think Lebo was lying to us. I'm gonna say it again. She's on Tinder,
guys.
Lebo is on Tinder.
I wish you guys saw how I am. I'm on Tinder, but I feel like that's another story for another day.
Yeah, what's your Tinder like?
It's not even, that's what I'm saying. It's not even. I feel like I don't use the app properly. Maybe I need to be taught, because I get like disinterested so quickly. So I literally unmatch people like.
Those girls out here having like an academic talk on Tinder. We see you, girl.
So,
anyways, thank you. Do you want to chime on that masturbation? Your experience with it?
Like we all like sexual beings, right? And yeah, like we said earlier on, sex isn't necessarily penetration. Like you could be female sex,
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing too. Masturbation, I haven't done that in a while actually, and yeah, no, I haven't tried any sex toys. I'm curious, you know, but I haven't reached the point where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to buy me some Femi Fun. My friend, you know Femi Fun, right? You don't know?
No.
My one friend went and got herself this Femi Fun dildo. It's like, I got, I think 15 levels of vibration.
Shit.
Like, and I'm just like,
That must take us like to another level.
but then what do you think? My thing is, what do you think when you are masturbating but you've got a dildo? You see, like, it's different if you're using your body, utilizing your own body to just arouse yourself and satisfy yourself. It's different. But
versus getting like a tool.
Now I'm thinking about two-lining it, just saying.
Love that. I think sex and all of that masturbation tip is beautiful. I think masturbation is a sense of you owning your own body, you exploring it, you giving yourself time to figure out what's a yay, what's a nay. And I think more women actually should be encouraged to go through it and to spend time fidgeting, so you know Mr. Vagina
What you
down
like,
there,
what you-
you know, knowing what you like and what you don't like. Thank you so much for tuning in onto this episode of Gin of Gin and Tea. We love chatting to you about sex.
Till next time.
Toodaloo.